Hi, this is Sarah Ackerman, and I'm here today to kick off our discussion posts. And the case that I'm going to be presenting to you guys about is Tarasoff versus Regents of the University of California. It's a case from 1976. The incident started quite a bit earlier, though, and so we're just going to get into this. The case has basically this ethical dilemma. What is more important, therapist-client confidentiality or public safety? And it's interesting how this question relates to education. We'll get into that more in a little bit. So the background on this Tarasoff case, there were three people that are the main players in this case. There's Padar, there's Tarasoff, and Dr. Lawrence Moore. So Padar is a student from India that's studying at the University of California. Tarasoff is also a student at the University of California. They meet, they start dating. Then after, just a few dates, Tarasoff breaks it off. Padar becomes obsessed with Tarasoff and starts stalking her, obsessing over her. Incidentally, Padar's roommate is Tarasoff's brother. So this stalking continues, and Padar does eventually seek out treatment for counseling at the University Medical Center from Dr. Lawrence Moore. During the 8 therapy sessions that Padar attends, he admits that he has murderous ideation of Tarasoff, makes death threats to her during the therapy sessions. So, the therapist, gives Padar a warning, tells Padar that he can't make these kinds of claims. And at that point, Padar quits going to therapy. Moore consults his supervisor, see what to do next, and the campus police are informed. Well, at this point, the police go and they talk to Padar. They confront him. They determine that they don't think the threats are serious, and so they release him. Whereupon Padar continues stalking Tarasoff. He doesn't stop. And Dr. Powelson becomes a new player in this story. He is Moore's supervisor, and he orders that all the notes from the therapy sessions are destroyed. So on October 27th, 1969, this is where things really get set in motion. Padar goes to Tarasoff's apartment and confronts her, and they argue, and Tarasoff attempts to leave. When she attempts to leave, Padar stabs her to death with a kitchen knife that he had brought with him. And Padar does get charged with first-degree murder. So here's what happens in the courts after Padar is charged. He's convicted of second-degree murder, and he appeals. He serves 5 years in jail. Finally, his case gets heard again. The state chooses not to retry the case once the appeal goes through. And so he ends up getting deported to India, and he's a free man. So he's walking around free to this day. He's married. And so after Padar's release, Tarasoff's parents file a civil suit against the therapist. So here's the civil suit. The parents say that the therapist should have informed Tarasoff of Padar's death threats. I mean, think about it. If they would have, if the therapist would have told Tarasoff about Padar's threats, she probably wouldn't have opened the door to him. That could have saved her life. The defendants, Moore and Powelson, claimed that their oath of confidentiality prevented them from informing potential victims of threats. So this is where this becomes a landmark decision. The trial court sides with the defendants initially. The Tarasoff family appeals. It goes to the state of California, who delivers the landmark ruling. And the ruling states, so this is what we all need to take away from this, that therapists have a duty to protect potential victims by either warning the victims themselves or contacting law enforcement. So if somebody's life is at risk, the therapists have a duty there to try to save human lives. So today, the Tarasoff laws are in place for 33 states. Therapists are urged to seek legal counsel before breaching confidentiality. And therapists must use their own judgment to determine how serious the threat is. So that's really tough because, sometimes people say like, oh, I just want them dead. They don't really mean that. They say that, but therapists have to use their own judgment in those situations. So here's where I was thinking about this case and how it might apply to me in an elementary school educational setting. I was thinking about bullying because we have a lot of confidentiality issues with when we're talking to parents about bullying. So you have kid A is bullying kid B, and it's bad. It's really bad. There might be even death threats being made in this bullying, okay? The teacher needs to notify kid B's parents because kid A made a death threat. Okay, so we've got to tell the parent. In my current practice, though, I don't feel comfortable telling either parent the name of the other child. Because, our school policy, I've never seen it written, but I've been told we can't use names. So then do we report the incident to the police? What do we do? How do we judge how serious those threats are? Especially if it's like a third grader. That's tough, right? And then I wondered, do the Tarasoff rules apply? So my questions to kind of kick off our discussion this week are, how would you defend the ruling by the state of California on Tarasoff? Do you agree, disagree with it? How can you defend it? And what implications are there for third-party confidentiality in your current role? And could the Tarasoff guidelines potentially apply to you? So I got my materials this week from the actual court documents shared with us by our professor, and also got some help from Psychology Today, which had this article posted because obviously all therapists need to be aware of this landmark court case. So thanks, guys. Look forward to reading your discussions and chiming in. Have a good week.